Buonasera a tutti, good evening and welcome to the Italian Radio Hour. Io sono Viviana and I would like to welcome back our regular listeners and also welcome any new listeners. Also be sure to like us on Instagram and Facebook at the Italian Radio Hour and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch up on any past video interviews. Vorrei dare il benvenuto ai nostri ascoltatori da tutto il mondo, grazie per essere con noi anche oggi mentre continuiamo il nostro viaggio per l'Italia e la cultura italiana. So most of the fathers celebrated Father's Day in Italy because we associated with San Joseph. There is a wonderful, wonderful tradition of setting up La Tavola di San Giuseppe. And today we have a guest that will tell us about the history of their tradition. So back with us, we have Marianna Gatto, who is the Executive Director of the Italian American Museum of Los Angeles. Welcome back, Marianna. Thank you. And representing Pittsburgh, we have the owners and operators of La Tavola Italiana, a wonderful Sicilian restaurant in Pittsburgh and Mount Washington with Joe Carlo and Carmela Giaramita. But before we share all the importance and about this Tavola di San Giuseppe, a little pubblicità. Parli italiano? Do you want to learn, improve, or master your Italian? Istituto Mondo Italiano can help. Located in the heart of Regent Square, Mondo Italiano offers small group classes and one-on-one tutoring in person or online to help you learn Italian in no time. Visit us at istitutomondoitaliano.org. Benvenuti, everyone. Welcome back, Marianna. It's always a pleasure to have you back. And for the first time, Carmela and Joe, we spent a beautiful afternoon and evening last night.
Thank you.
So Marianna, let's start with you. First of all, the last time that we talked, I was right before the exhibit that is currently going on at the Italian American Museum of Los Angeles about Louis Prima. So tell us a little bit about what has been going on. I think there is also something else coming up soon so that we can get all our listeners from your neck of the woods to come out.
Yes, of course. So we opened a new and original exhibition in November about Louis Prima. And since then, we've had, visitors from all over joining us to see this exhibit. We've also presented a lot of live events and programs, everything from children's play to this last weekend, we had a dance party, kind of in the swing style. And then coming up on April 3rd, we have the special treat of having Lina Prima, who's the youngest daughter of Louis Prima, performing live at the museum with her New Orleans All-Star Band. There's some tickets that are still available, and you can learn more by visiting our website, and that's IAMLA.org. But this is going to be a great live concert featuring the incredibly talented Lina Prima. So we hope you'll join us.
Oh, okay, wonderful. And so I'm going to continue asking you a couple of questions, and then I will devote to Carmela and Joe. So recently, you are, tell our audience again where your ancestors are coming from, to explain whether you were raised with this tradition of the Tavola di San Giuseppe, or is it something that you acquired over time in your position of the executive director of the museum?
Yeah, so my heritage is primarily from Sicily and Calabria, and both have a tradition of St. Joseph. Of course, St. Joseph is huge in Sicily, but there's also festivities in my ancestral village in Calabria surrounding St. Joseph. And on my Sicilian side, we come from there's a long line of Josephs. My great-grandfather, my father, my son is Damien Joseph. And yes, this was a tradition that was practiced in my family, though unfortunately, many of the the women who created things like the vasteda, the breads that we'll probably talk about in a little bit, passed on before I was born. So I learned it really like probably the earliest, the first time I can remember realizing that I was Italian and therefore something different than my friends was when I went to a St. Joseph's table, probably around the age of 5. And at that time, there were altars held at the church, our church in Los Angeles, St. Peter's Italian Church, as well as an Italian restaurant called Salvatore's in Montebello. And so I think that it was probably, one of the first times that I really came to identify strongly with my Italian heritage. And it was the St. Joseph's tables that really kind of served as a catalyst for all this.
Mm-hmm. So, Carmela and Joe. So, Carmela, you have an interesting story, and we are actually watching right now in the background the video that is available on the museum's website. And so I hope it's not going to be too much of a distraction, but we can have it without the audio, because I'm sure very interesting stories will come out from our guests. So Carmela, how did this celebration that La Tavola Italiana in Pittsburgh is famous for come about the first time? You shared the story yesterday, and we did have a few tears. So tell us a little bit about your story and you discovering kind of La Tavola di San Giuseppe.
Okay, what happened is that 39 years ago, we, like I said last night, to everybody, it's really touchy story because it's really personal, number one. Number two, it's a beautiful story because really San Joseph for me become part of my heritage. Number one, because I'm Sicilian, but number two, my husband Joseph, my daughter Josephine, my mother-in-law was Josephine, my brother Joseph. We have a lot of Joseph in the family. But more than anything, this is started 38 years ago when my mother-in-law Josephine said to me after I gave birth to my daughter Gabriella, the baby with bilateral cleft. So she grabbed me in the side and said, Carmela, honey, I promised San Joseph that everything gonna be okay with our baby Gabriella. We're gonna do the altar San Joseph. That's the first time I heard about it. Was no experience with that. I never see one. So she said, okay. I said, oh, that's wonderful, Mama. That's really good. Thank you. She said, no, thank me. You have to do it. So I say, what? I have no clue how to start it. I never seen one. I never did any, nothing. So she said, well, you find your way to do it. I promise that you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it. So it put a big load of pressure on me to do this altar San Joseph because I never seen one. So I have a family in New York and friends. I called them and I said, oh, yeah, let's see if we can find a picture or something. Nothing. So I call my husband's grandmother in California at that time. She said, you know what, honey? I have a black and white picture. I'm gonna send it to you. Black and white picture. So, okay, thank you very much. So she sent me the picture. I picked up a picture. I went to the bakers in Pittsburgh and I told them, I said, I pay you anything. My mother-in-law promised I have to do this altar. I can do the altar, but I don't know how to do the bread. He said, ma'am, we have no idea how to do it. We're not gonna touch it. I said, okay. They closed my door in Pittsburgh. So I called New York. My brother was living in New York. So I said, his name is Joseph. I said, Joe, you have to do me a big favor. Send me somebody bigger with this picture that I'm going to send it to you and see if they can, make the bread and send it to me, whatever price, So he looked at me and said, okay, let me see what I can do. But remember, now we can see each other with the computer. A long time ago, 38 years ago, we don't have no way to get all this done in such a short time. Because Gabriela was born in December and the altar was done in March 19. Okay, so December to March, I didn't have not much time. So they say no in New York. So I said to my husband, what are we gonna do? I mean, who can I get to do this? Nobody want to touch you. Nobody want to do it. Nobody, nothing. My husband said, I know how to make a bread. I can bake it for you, and you do it. And that's what the tradition started for me.
Mhm. Okay, wonderful. So actually, in the images that we started to see, in addition to the beautiful tables, there was something about the origins. So maybe if Marianna, you want to elaborate more, and also the connection of Carmela's story with her mother-in-law and she being an expecting mother, because you know, in a very quick image, it was saying that St. Joseph was the patron saint of immigrants, workers, and expecting mothers. So here is maybe why the mother-in-law was specifically praying to St. Joseph instead of another saint. So Marianna, if we can go back to history, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about the origins of this celebration.
According to tradition, it was during the Middle Ages, towards the end of the 13th century, that there was a severe drought in Sicily and the peasants were on the brink of starvation. Many were surviving off of fava beans, which was traditionally a crop that they fed to their livestock. The peasants prayed to Saint Joseph, and when the rains finally came and they harvested their crops, they would construct altars of food in honor of Saint Joseph. In reality, there's probably the tradition dates back a bit further to some of the like pre-Christian or pagan times and spring festivals in honor of the god Ceres. But it's really this founding story that many of us embrace as Italian Americans, and that has really come to figure so prominently in our history, you know, especially as Sicilian Americans.
Mm-hmm. So you were talking about the fava beans. Are there certain elements that are more commonly seen, or I don't want to say ingredients, but you also made some beautiful breads yourself. So, and here it seems to be always an involvement from a lot of people. So are there some other symbolism or other elements of the tables?
Perfect. You'll see the altar that on the screen right now was actually part of an exhibition that we did at the Italian American Museum of Los Angeles that opened in March 2020, and we'll get back to that in a second. But you know, most altars have 3 tiers to symbolize the Holy Family or the Trinity. Some have more tiers, and that often is like a kind of a symbolic of the stairway to heaven. Most of the time, these altars were constructed by women, and you'll notice that at the very top is typically an image or a statue of Saint Joseph, and the breads are placed very close to the saint. And you know, this is not a coincidence. You know, bread is considered a divine gift. It's mentioned numerous times in the Bible. Of course, you know, the Eucharist being one of the most important sacraments. But these breads take many symbolic shapes and are, as you can see here, shapes relevant to Saint Joseph's life as well as biblical references. You'll see bread shaped into the forms of carpenter's tools and sandals and chalices, crosses, Saint Joseph's staff, his walking stick. And some of these breads are quite heavy. They can weigh up to 16 pounds. And they're, you know, truly works of art. But in addition, so while the bread is, you know, oftentimes closest to the statue, the remainder of the table also carries many symbolic, you know, items. You see the fish here, fava beans, number of sweets, because this event takes place during Lent. Most of what you find on the table is meatless. There's traditional Sicilian dishes like pasta con le sarde or pasta with sardines and other fish. And you'll also see, which I don't think we have an image of, the bread, wheat sheaves, bread transformed into what's called mudrika, which is a bread. But the breadcrumbs symbolize the sawdust in St. Joseph's carpenter shop. At least that's one of the interpretations. And it's just, if you study these tables, they truly are just fascinating. You also see images of departed loved ones. There's so many layers of symbolism. But at the heart of it is the idea that when somebody constructed a table, and they were typically in their homes, again, they were often women who were constructing these tables as a vow to Saint Joseph, or in a gratitude for the fulfillment of a prayer answered. They were always communal events where you would open your house and invite people to come and eat, and nobody is turned away. You feed everyone. So there's just so many fantastic elements about these table altars. I could go on talking about them forever, but I'm gonna stop and let somebody else have a turn now.
Sure. Well, you were you were mentioning an element that was clearly what we felt yesterday at La Tavola Italiana, because first of all, I'm going to share some pictures of the work that Carmela with and Joe with lots of patience put out for us, and again for me was the first time experience, and I'm a Roman, so I missed out, enjoying this experience growing up. Obviously, being La Festa del Papà, you call your dad and you're going by zeppole, pasticceria, but that's how far the experience it is. But last night it was very special for many, many different elements. So first of all, I'll use some of the pictures that I took yesterday, but there was a COVID hiatus for Carmela and Joe, and then Jolina is also
the older daughter. Yeah, that's
yes,
the older daughter.
daughter. And so how did the conversation start with Jolina as far as resuming this tradition?
Say it again.
How did the conversation started with
Jolina?
daughter,
Yes.
as far as resuming the tradition?
Yeah, what happened is for 4 years during COVID, we stopped it, making it because with COVID, everything stopped a little bit. So I was thinking about it, and I didn't say nothing to my daughter. And my daughter called me, she said, Mom, I'm thinking about it, doing it again, the San Joseph celebration. I said, honey, I was thinking about the same thing. And we did it so quickly, and everything, for 4 years I don't do the bread. I was a little rusty almost, And I look up and I said, San Joseph, come on, help me out. And then I start to make the bread, and they come out beautiful. Viviana saw the bread. It's
Yes.
really gorgeous thing. No, to me, it's more than anything. I mean, San Joseph, I feel like he want us to do that.
Yes.
Because we forget about, it represents somebody so special. St. Joseph, it's a big part of the Catholic, the religion. So to me, it was, first time I did it, I believe it. I was in, because the first time that we did the bread, me and my husband, and he put the first piece of bread in the oven 38 years ago. And he come in the back and said, Carmela, come and see what we done. He opened the oven and the bread was blooming. And that's part of the bread that you see on the screen right now. So nothing fancy. We just to do a family. Me and my husband and my kids. That's it. So no other people come in because, they, number one, not too many people do in Pittsburgh. Am I right, Viviana? I don't see everybody else doing it. So I've been doing this. So I started with the family and friends, and I still keep going with family and friends. And that's a tradition keeping going. I hope that my kids keeping doing it. Because
Well, the grandchild is involved here.
it's a beautiful thing to, send it, like I teach the kids what that means having an altar San Joseph. And
Mhm.
you notice that you count the pieces that we do, it's 19 pieces of bread,
Mhm.
which is March 19, that is day of San Joseph.
Mhm.
So people say, why you have all different shape of bread? Because they represent everything that Joseph was involved in his life. Like simple pasta con sarde that you imagine, the baked crumbs, the pane, that we do, mudrica turrata, that's a Sicilian, okay? Also we do fava, pisede, and carciofi.
Mhm.
That's another thing that we did last night. And why we do fish and no meat? Why we do veggie and no, other stuff? Because that's what it was at that time, was a Lent, no meat. So everything was about veggie and fish. And
Mhm.
that's a tradition that we try to tell them, the kids today. And, we have a new generation coming up that they have no clue. Matter of fact, in New York City, also, I never told you this yesterday. My brother Joseph, what he died 3 years ago, um, he used to do the San Joseph altar too with his wife, all the club of Partanna. I come from Partanna, Trapani in Sicily.
Mhm.
Partanna Trapani, it's a small town, and so we have a club in New York City, which my brother is a member. He was a member, and even his past away, I just received all the information that they did San Joseph in New York, also
At the club.
at the club. Watch
Mhm.
all the women get together, like I saw before, all the women involved, same thing. And they do a great, great job. I mean, you see the bread that they produce, all the Sicilian women, that's amazing. But it's no young generation. I don't see too much of the young generation get involved. And I like to see, awfully, like yourself, you're younger than me, and my kids, to push the tradition. That's the reason why we wanted to do it, because we're losing the beauty where we come from. And that's, I think I'm gonna do until God want me to do in San Joseph, to push the kids to be available to learn and keep the tradition alive.
I would say that, just kind of in response to everything that you just mentioned, the last few years, it's been really interesting because I feel like the popularity of Saint Joseph has increased tremendously among Italian Americans. There's, something about this saint and this event and the way that we celebrate it that even people who are not Sicilian and who don't have this attachment to Saint Joseph really embrace and get behind. I mean, you think about what is really at the heart of this table, right, of this tradition. And it's, the idea that material wealth is fleeting, our situations can change at any time, to be grateful for what we have, for the important things like our health, the security of our loved ones. And the idea that, you open your home, or you gather together and you join it, you enjoy a meal.
Yep.
We, during the pandemic, I think a lot of us came to appreciate that more than ever. And, now many of us are still there. Like, really, when it comes down to it, what are the most important things in life?
And that's exactly what you could feel from every single table. I mean, we were fortunate enough that at our table we had also someone that I know very well, which is Chris Fenimore and his family, and then we had also a singer who surprised us also with by singing a couple of arias, but then Joe and Carmela had their own entire families with the daughters, Carmela's sister and their so it was a very the sharing the table was how special being at that table felt like yesterday. It was a very unique experience. And when I shared the pictures that a lot of my Italian friends, you know, from Rome and other regions in Italy, they were asking, what was it, what it's all about? And they started to Google it. And that's exactly, you know, the result that we want to have is more conversations about these holidays are so meaningful because they might start from a region and maybe be a little more peculiar to that region, but it doesn't prevent anyone, you know, anyone else to from embracing the same tradition and bringing it. And I think it was a very smart move also, Carmela, to have your grandchild involved because, again, that continuity of feeling special. I'm like kind of baby Jesus from us yesterday, making them a part of it instead of just being an observer. It's a memory they'll never forget, even though maybe he still has to process. But 20 years from now, he will tell his friends that with non and non, he was at the table and so forth. And
I will,
mhm.
I will second that. I mean, again, I think going to a table for the first time with my father when I was 5, when I was, you know, a little bit younger than your grandson, I mean, it forever shaped my life. And it's an experience that, you know, decades later, I hold so close to me. So we all do what we can. The multi-generational part that you touched upon, that was one of the most beautiful parts of New Orleans when I was there for the Feast of St. Joseph. Was you had little kids who were falling asleep on their grandparents' lap. You had 3 and sometimes 4 generations, and just such an incredible sense of excitement. Yes, that's us in the kitchen.
At 5 o'clock, wake up call, by the way, everyone in the kitchen, 900 pounds of pasta con le sarde.
Yeah.
5, I got there at 8. But yes, it was so much fun making this meal for, we had about 900 people attend that luncheon.
Yeah. And I'm just browsing, you know, New Orleans had, that was also a special time for New Orleans, in addition to, you know, the San Joseph, you guys also mentioned the event that occurred in New Orleans with the lynching of the Italian, 11 Italians. So it was a very peculiar part of, so here it is, how big that was. But also talking about, you know, promoting the traditions, I believe you, Marianna, within your museum, like differently from Joe and Carmela that had to figure out their own. Luckily, Joe is an amazing baker.
Yeah, he baked all the bread, so you know.
Yes, it
yeah.
was. Yeah, he's famous. He's famous for that. You had also an event where people sent you their bread so that you could create an exhibit, Marianna. Tell
Yeah,
us.
right. We opened this exhibition in March of 2020. Prior to that, we had sent out a call to people all over the country to contribute items, you know, related to St. Joseph and this tradition. And, you know, we expected, oh, we're going to get some responses from New York, from New Jersey, but we had women in Iowa, of course, in New Orleans, some in Pittsburgh. I believe we, you know, we received some writings from a woman who had, you know, practiced this tradition, who is no longer doing it, but provided some photographs. And we opened this exhibition about, I think it was 8 days before the whole nation shut down. And at that time, you know, the pandemic hadn't reached Los Angeles. It was already in New York. We were all kind of, you know, what's going on? What are we going to do? And it's interesting, you know, the video that you shared earlier that the museum created, we did that because, you know, this exhibition opened, there was so much excitement about people wanting to come see it, and then everything's shut down. The museum is dark, our doors are locked. So we created this video, and we didn't really expect it to have a lifespan beyond the pandemic. But I checked, you know, the number of views the other day, and people are still watching it. And
I'm watching multiple times, yes.
you know, I turned to my colleague the other day. I said, we have to redo this video, because this was, you know, just as things were starting to get you know, I mean, we were doing virtual content before the pandemic, but, you know, I was recording the audio on my cell phone, you know, so we have to do a higher quality of this. But it's so encouraging for me to see this interest in St. Joseph grow every year.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think we touch, St. Joseph touches upon something that really exists at our, you know, at our very essence: charity, concern for others, gratitude, devotion. So maybe that is where we need to be as a society.
Absolutely. So before I bring Jo in, because he has been quiet with us, I do have a couple of words from our sponsors. Applying for Italian citizenship? Need documents translation? Istituto Mondo Italiano provides certified translations and assistance services. Be sure to visit us at istitutomondoitaliano.org and schedule your free consultation. Un caffè, per favore. My first cup of coffee sets the tone for my entire day, and I get my coffee at La Prima Espresso. La Prima has been brewing Pittsburgh's best coffee for nearly 35 years. Try any of their in-house roasted varieties of beans from all over the world at home, or come and enjoy an espresso or a cappuccino at any of their locations, where their friendly baristas and familiar faces will make you feel at home. Visit laprima.com to get La Prima Espresso coffee at your door. So Jo, let's talk a little bit about your story and the traditions that you grew up with. And yesterday you were feeling some big shoes, like being our Joseph, who graciously went all around the table. I mean, it was when I was a little kid. Both my brother and my sister were in the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, and there was always a competition about who put out among the families the best nativity set. So we did one time Il Presepe Vivente, so like a living nativity set. Obviously, I was very little, so but you know, just pretend. You know, yesterday was an important role. But just in general, just tell us a little bit about your background and your the traditions you grew up with.
Well, I came to America. I was 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't speak any English or any of that stuff at all. But I was the first person in my hometown that flew from Palermo to Rome, and Rome to New York, New York to Pittsburgh. When they say you're Italian, you come on a banana boat. It says, no, I flew.
On a banana.
I flew, no banana boat for me. So anyway, my mother, I call her my mother, my grandmother, she did an altar, the first one, and I wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So she sent us pictures, black and white, the one my wife's talking about, with the Holy, we had the Holy Family over there. It's always San Giuseppe, Maria, and Jesus. That was the three principal people at the altar. Whether you had a lot of money, you didn't have any money, you fed those three kids. They're always kids, you know, and everybody was joyful. Everybody came to your house, as you said, come and eat, and nobody's refused. You need something, you get it, and you have it, you know, and that's the tradition that we try to do here. We had a lot of people that never came, and then we had people that have been coming to the past 30 years that we had the restaurant. Oh, I'm coming, which it makes you feel really good. And when you see your product, like yesterday, all the bread that came out, it was all perfect. Not one side a little bit burned or the other side not cooked enough. I was there right on it, turned the trays of the bread around so it would cook evenly. And we did 19 trays, and it always wanted 19. It's got 19 little balls of those like oranges type. We have all the trays were all this signified as 19 as of the day of St. Joseph. But it was very interesting. And the bread's not, after it gets hard. Here in Italy, we give the loaves of bread to the people, to the poor
To the
people.
poor, to the poor.
But here, thank God, it's not necessary, but we do not get rid of it. We get it hard and we make breadcrumbs. La mollica di San
La
Giuseppe.
mollica.
La mollica di San Giuseppe. And we use it in our meatballs. We use it for bread, the breadcrumbs. Then when you do chicken cacciatore,
No,
sorry,
Parmesan.
the Parmigiana, all the different breadings that has to go on the stuff that we cook. So
Okay.
we do not throw any away.
Yeah, nothing ever gets away.
Right.
So any additional comments, Mariana? Anything else that is going to happen, or any of your travels that might bring you back to the East Coast? Or anything that you would like to add?
Gosh, well, again, I think seeing this interest in St. Joseph is really encouraging. And I think it's going to continue to grow. It's almost like this is the Italian-American Thanksgiving.
I think so too. I think so too. And I'm gonna send Viviana a video that my sister-in-law sent it to me. That way you guys see also part of New York, the
Mhm.
community where I come from. My family make one in New York.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to see all these ladies get together. So I'm gonna send it to you, Viviana and Mariana, so you can see also another state doing the same thing. Sicilian people with the same plan do it, even if we're far away, we do the same thing. So I think the St. Joseph celebration gonna be bigger than bigger now, because
Bigger and bigger.
because now with this communication that we have today, the possibility to share with the Italian people, and Viviana experiences something, she never seen one, she never was in one, so now she can talk about it with other people, not to share, okay? Like you're talking about an international night last night. We have a German, we have a Jewish, we have Italian, we have you name it, they were there
And we
yesterday.
even had Sicilians.
One more for observation, Viviana, is there's so much of, St. Joseph is an oral tradition. It's these stories that are passed on typically from women to women. I didn't have the benefit of having my grandmother or my great-grandmother around, but I've learned some of these things from others. And just in speaking, us today, Carmela, I learned, something about her expression of St. Joseph in New Orleans. I was blessed to meet a woman by the name of Kathy Quattaro, who makes all the breadcrumbs that you see. She makes it close to 40 pounds of the mudrica. And her contribution, she had constructed St. Joseph altars over the years. And I love the multi-generational part of it. Of course, that it's orchestrated by women for the most part, with, of course, our men helpers. You can't forget our men. But I love to see how it's spreading, and social media, I think, is a big part of that as well. But, may we continue this for many centuries to come. That's my hope.
Yes.
It will, because like I said to you guys before, I never done it. And I look up the first time and I say, you really want me to do it? Help me out. So that's faith. And I explained that yesterday. Viviana was there. What I say, it was really the emotional thing that I did at the beginning 38 years ago, because I never see one, but with black and white picture, I created something for 38 years and then share with everybody in Pittsburgh, besides my family, my friends, everybody. So I share with Los Angeles, share, in New York, and my family in Rome, and my family in Sicily. Everybody see that too. So the world come together for one day at least to praise St. Joseph. What we forget is a big part of it, at the beginning, because, you know, he was, and we forget about him. Everybody forget about Joseph, but
Yeah, especially the patron saint of the immigrant workers. We're all within that category as well. And I'm actually, you know, the reason why so these celebrations are so important, because they might still be like encapsulating some sort of time. I wonder how and who still does this festival in Sicily, maybe super popular. But we interviewed two young explorers that went throughout Italy to highlight the Sagre. And it would be nice if the same process would be done here, with actually documenting all the feasts and the festivals that the Italian American community has communicated, has maintained, and kind of talk about the different experiences, because you know, Los Angeles might have one flavor, New Orleans another one, and Pittsburgh, because again, these are treasures, and who knows who can pick up on that idea. But
Our friends, greetings from Italian America, they try to visit as many of these feasts as possible. The Italian Enclaves Historical Society is also really trying to preserve you know, both the past, and as we're continuing. Steve Cerulli is another, you know, young scholar from New York who writes about some of these events. And what I'd also love to see, I think, Carmela, we're gonna have to volunteer to do this, is I think we should do a little some kind of instructional, like a workshop to, you know, teach people or share our traditions about the St. Joseph's breads. Because, you know, it occurred to me, you know, when my grandmother died, like that tradition seemingly ended. But, you know, thanks to some other women who shared information with me, I decided to pick it back up again. And now it's my hope, you know, every year I'd like to be able to share one of my bread with another city or community. So maybe next year you'll be getting a package from me, Carmela.
anytime, hon, anytime.
And I'll gladly help somebody learn how to make the St. Joseph bread.
Right, yeah, it's
The dough, you know.
You know how to make the design more than anything. The design, it's like each piece of the bread represents something. So you have to form, and you notice all the house, Viviana, that you see all the pictures, they all got the same the same value of what representation means in the Altar San Joseph. Each pieces, you have the cane of San Joseph, you have the fruit of the orange. Somebody asked me why you put an orange and lemon on the table. And then I noticed today all the picture that she showed, you know, before they got an orange and lemon, because that's the tradition. Who started the beginning, the Altar San Joseph, that's the only thing they can afford it to give it to the poor.
That was what was available at the time.
Yeah.
The fava beans,
the
the peas,
artichoke,
they're all springtime vegetables.
Yeah, the asparagus frittata, the potato, everything that's and that's what sometimes I'm a chef, so I know how to cook all the stuff, and like pasta con sarde, I did it from scratch, okay, from the baked crumbs to the pasta, everything, all the sauces, and the beauty of that. And before I forget, when I started to do the halter, okay, and this is something that we should push the young generation also. Anybody, but the young generation, because everybody say, gonna be so much trouble, so much to do. I'm gonna be so tired. How many hours to do that? How many this? How many that? I tell you one thing. When I started out at San Joseph, I never get tired.
Yeah. Because there's that
never get tired
about, it's an act of devotion. It's giving something of yourself to benefit others. And if we all just kind of embrace little acts like that of kindness, think about how it would transform our communities and transform our world. And maybe you know, I'm out here in California where we're all considered a little bit too love and peace, but I really believe that.
Yep.
Mhm.
I agree. I agree. I agree. And, you know, to see the smile in people's face yesterday and tears and emotional feeling, just to be there. Viviana, don't you think? Yes,
Yeah,
it was an
absolutely.
emotional day for everybody. It was
Mhm.
emotional for us, but to see everybody get involved for this beautiful author that they never see before, it you know, you look everybody face and you see how
Mhm.
interesting they were. You know, each to look at everywhere in the house and say, "Wow, wow." You know, it's not about me making it or you making it. It's just to get a community together and enjoy something so beautiful.
Mhm. Yeah. So we came at the tables. Maybe people were put together, but kind of you came as strangers and you left like
I said,
family.
friend. Yep.
So
Yep.
and
Exactly.
and then it's one thing I was I was searching my Facebook archive of pictures. The only place that I have seen so much devotion to breads is actually Sardinia. Sardinia has a wonderful history of, I call them holy breads that have specific names, and they're very intricate. And in one of their museums, I think it was the Museum of Nuoro, they have a whole room with different collections of different breads. I have to revisit those pictures and see if by chance there is something also similar to the traditions that we have talked about and today, so that maybe we can make also a connection between the two islands. So
Well, it's Sicily and Sardinia. I mean, part of
yeah,
it, you know, part
yeah.
of us. Good.
So
Now, I don't know, you know, everybody got tradition for Easter too,
mhm.
because, you know, similar thing. The you know, children today, they don't know. And, you know, a lot of people ask about it. I don't know that you know about Cucidate di Pasqua.
Yes, Marianna is a professional at that.
Cannatuna, okay? We call Sicilian cannatuna.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know, that's cookie dough. Some people they do with regular bread, and then you put the eggs. You know, and I have a memories one my grandmother, my aunt used to do when I was little. But those women, long time ago, they really were superhero to me, because they used to do it with nothing. They used to create like a little bird with the egg basket, or you know, a little fontana with the yeah, it was amazing, amazing. Watch today we go out and buy over the Pasqua, this and that, but long time ago they didn't have too much, but they were the creation started because they didn't have too much.
Mhm.
And
And like she said before, it's all take all the woman together to create what we're in today. You know,
I look at some of these recipes, you know, when they baked, you know, for masses, you know, start with 5 pounds of flour, 10 pounds of flour.
yeah.
And I make cucinati at Christmas time, and I share them with my friends and family and people across the country. But I have a food processor. I grind the figs and the dates and everything with a food processor. And every time I put the button on, I think about my grandmother, my great grandmother, you know, grinding this stuff by hand.
Yep, by hand, by hand, by hand.
Mezzaluna knife, you know, and it makes me cognizant of how much harder their lives were.
Mhm.
And it, you know, and it also instills in me that much more of a sense of gratitude for what I have.
Do you know why they used to do them at night?
Tell me.
Right.
They used to do all the grinding and everything else at night because the kids were asleep. They wouldn't be bothered.
I mean, the kids wouldn't go there and steal some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's memory, a lot of memories there. Say it again?
I said, when the kids are asleep, you have fewer laborers too, you know?
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's usually when I do at Christmas time. Once we lost my mom, the first Christmas came and we're like, and what are we going to do? And here I am coming from America, recruiting all my nephews. It's like, you guys come here, we're gonna make strufoli together. And I still have videos because I've always been a little, into taking pictures and documenting. And now at least 12 years have passed. So the kids have grown up now, they have jobs, they live in Paris and Barcelona. But when I put that video Christmas time, the memories, and again, we kind of substitute, and it's still, it's not that we substitute a tradition, because obviously you can't substitute or replace, a motherly figure, but we kind of did our best and it became our tradition. So it does have that special connotation. Well, unfortunately, our time together is up. Il Big Ben ha detto stop, and it's time for us to say arrivederci e alla prossima. And we want to thank you for tuning in into the program. If you have any questions or comments, or if you have any topics you would like us to address, please contact us at theitalianradiohour@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And remember, if you or any of your family and friends have missed a prior episode or would like to listen to this episode again, subscribe to the Italian Radio Hour on YouTube or where you catch your favorite podcasts. I would like to thank all of my guests, starting with Marianna Gatto, tuning in from Los Angeles, Carmela, Giaramita, and Joe Di Carlo, the owners and operators of La Tavola Italiana here in Pittsburgh, for sharing their beautiful memories and traditions about the table of San Joseph. Our sponsors, Istituto Mondo Italiano and La Prima Espresso. Until next time, alla prossima. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, piacere, ciao.
I'm going to come see you in Pittsburgh.